I was reborn on the day before the apocalypse broke out. Everyone else is preparing for a New Year's Eve celebration. But I kept making frenzied phone calls. They had to buy out all the city's supplies. Everyone thought I was a madman who squandered his fortune. Even the girlfriend who betrayed me in my past life must be mocking me. But she didn't know. After 24 hours, the junk I stockpile will be priceless. And I will carry memories of my past life. Make her pay the price in blood for her betrayal. Inside the master bedroom of Yunzhong Villa, Lin Ye suddenly sat up from the silk mattress. A faint golden light still lingered in his pupils. He gripped the bedsheet tightly with both hands. The knuckles are white. Chest rises and falls violently. It was as if he had just escaped a thrilling nightmare. 3 seconds ago, he was still in the hallway of that old rental apartment, witnessing those strange beings firsthand. Severely injure yourself. Wang Qian's harsh laughter echoed in her ears. The burly man surnamed Lu behaved intimately with his ex-girlfriend. She actually made intimate gestures right in front of him. Why did the self in my memory helplessly tap the iron? Brother Lu's sarcasm, accompanied by a cold laugh. Just because I can protect him. Look at your slender body again. Empty and vulnerable. What can you bring with him? But I have to thank you. If you hadn't gone out, I haven't had that opportunity yet. Haha. As he spoke, the tall Lu Qiang reached out and hugged Wang Qian. And his manner was intimate and intimate. Wang Qian buried her face in Lu Qiang's arms, gently leaning on his shoulder. Heartache, a piercing pain that pierces to the core. Not physical trauma. Instead, he was betrayed by the person he trusted most. That kind of pain that weighs on my heart. At this moment, her heart was filled with hatred. He hated his own incompetence. Hate yourself for trusting others so easily. Hate your past sacrifices. Giving everything for someone who isn't worth it. When sudden changes occur, he also went out to look for supplies, afraid he'd go hungry or freeze. But in the end, what she got in return was merciless betrayal. It's too much. Just thinking about this. Lin Ye couldn't help but growl lowly. His right hand slammed heavily against the headboard. The rosewood nightstand trimmed with gold trim made a muffled thud. Young Master Lin, you've hurt me. A gentle voice snapped her back to reality. He turned his head to look. Long hair draped over the shoulders. He has an outstanding appearance. There were faint traces of tears at the corners of his eyes. Her temperament is lazy and gentle. All these signs indicated that the two had spent a long time together last night. However, at this moment, Lin Ye's mind was completely blank. A woman curled up under the covers. It was none other than Lin Xueqin, the well-known artist she had seen on posters in her previous life. That poster back then was regarded by countless people as the goddess in their hearts. At this moment, the real person was gazing at her tenderly. You spent so much time together last night. Lin Xueqin bit her lower lip. Her face flushed slightly. He's still physically exhausted. Is it really not possible? Having never experienced anything like this before, Lin Ye only felt his heart race. He hurriedly grabbed a silk robe and put it on. Stumble and rush into the bathroom. A woman's puzzled voice called out from behind. The face in the mirror was both unfamiliar and familiar. The same name but a completely different appearance. Sword eyebrows and star eyes. The figure is tall. There is also a clear wolf head pattern on his right shoulder. The cold marble floor. This finally made him realize this was not a dream. The next moment, a flood of memories that didn't belong to him surged into his mind like a tide. A few seconds later, she rubbed her swollen head. From the original owner's memories we learn. The original owner was also called Lin Ye. Their identities are worlds apart. One is his ordinary background. One is the only son of a wealthy family born with a silver spoon in his mouth. The family is well off. Unfortunately, just a year ago, the original owner's father passed away due to illness. His mother was long gone. Can be said that one stands alone. Fortunately, before his father passed away, he left behind a sum that would last several lifetimes. A huge fortune with no worries about food or clothing. And this expensive villa in the clouds. Moreover, that devastating incident had not yet erupted. Other words, he could easily use this wealth, stockpile large quantities of survival supplies before the upheaval strikes, build strong defenses, to secure a glimmer of hope for themselves amid future turmoil. He remembers it clearly. That upheaval swept across the globe without warning. Nearly 70% of people lose their rationality during the upheaval. The world order collapsed in an instant. Thanks to his quiet personality in his previous life, Qiang stayed at home and narrowly escaped disaster. After sorting through all the fragments of memory, his fist slammed heavily against the mirror. In the web-like cracks, those eyes glinted with a cold, sharp edge. Since you live a new life, a sharp smile appeared at the corner of Lin Ye's mouth. Wang Qian Lu Chong. This life, I won't let you have it easy. After a quick wash, I left the bathroom. He happened to run into Lin Shuiqin sitting on the bed tidying clothes. Looking at that graceful figure, Lin Ye couldn't help but feel a ripple in his heart. For him, in his previous life, such scenes exist only in imagination. I never thought it would actually happen. Lin Shuiqin turned around and saw his calm gaze. I didn't care. Instead, he stopped moving. He walked over to her and gently approached. He asked gently, "Young Master Lin, what happened to you just now?" A beautiful voice sounded in his ears. This made Lin Ye's heart flutter. Such a proactive and gentle woman. It was her first time meeting her. For a moment he found it hard to adapt. But since he inherited the original owner's body, you have to show a bit of heroic spirit. She reached out and gently embraced her. A fresh fragrance lingered at the tip of his nose. This strange feeling was unprecedented. It's nothing, just recalling some bad memories. Lin Ye's tone was calm and composed. Otherwise, Lin Shuiqin hadn't finished speaking, whispering softly in her arms. This left Lin Ye feeling unsettled. Then how about I keep you company a bit longer? He looked at Lin Ye with affectionate eyes. Her slender jade hand gently rested in front of him. Forestry, which had never experienced these things before, was now unable to withstand the pressure. He suddenly came back to his senses. Instinctively, he gently pushed her away. Not unwillingly. But this sudden silence left him somewhat at a loss. He couldn't control the pressure for a moment. Lin Shuiqin staggered and fell to the ground. He let out a soft cry. Fortunately, the original master bedroom was covered with thick carpets. He cushioned his strength. This eliminates the risk of injury. Lin Ye hurriedly helped her up. His eyes were full of apology. Sorry, you're okay. It's fine, but it's just Lin Xiao. What's wrong with you today? Lin Ye said nothing. Seeing this, Lin Shuiqin didn't ask any more questions. To have reached where he is now, he has his own measure. So he turned and put on his coat, saying as she wore it, "Young Master Lin, I have to go. Today is the last day of the month. I still have one album I haven't recorded. Now we must rush over. I'll come back to keep you company after the recording is over." Lin Ye was about to nod, but suddenly remembered something. Wait, the last day of the month. His pupils contracted. He immediately ran to the bedside. He picked up his phone and opened the screen. December 31st, 2109, 8:10 a.m. What? He instinctively shouted in a low voice. Lin Ye stared intently at the date on his phone. My heart felt as if a cold hand was gripping tightly. His breathing instantly quickened. A chill ran through his heart. He remembered it all too clearly. Unforgettable. At exactly 8 a.m. on January 1st, 2010. That bizarre and unknown upheaval will engulf the world without warning. Countless people are on their way to play, morning exercise, or to work, caught completely off guard, falling into chaos, losing sanity in a short time. Order collapsed in an instant. Civilization has become ruins. That was the beginning of turmoil. The first day everything changes. And now, just before that sudden upheaval, less than 24 hours remained. This harsh reality is like a heavy hammer. It falls on his newly ignited resolve in revenge and survival. He had thought that thanks to the original owner's vast wealth, billions in assets and a vast cloud center, there is enough time to build an impregnable fortress. Stockpile massive survival supplies. Calm and composed layout. It may even gain a foothold amid future upheavals. But the results only lasted one day at a time. This is no advantage. At first, it was just a temporary shelter slightly better than the rental house in my previous life. His grand plans, instantly compressed into the most basic and urgent survival needs. Damn it! Lin Ye shouted in a low voice. The intense sense of urgency made him tense all over. Every second is incredibly precious. Now is definitely not a matter of regret. Every minute and every second must be spent on the blade. Stockpile supplies and rush immediately. How much can you stockpile? This villa covers a vast area. Ample space. It is the best place to stockpile supplies. Just as his mind was racing, a mechanical voice rang out. A crisis is detected to be about to erupt. Merit War, System Activation Countdown. The countdown began 23 hours. The words fell. Lin Ye looked at the same time. It immediately turned into wild laughter. He even doubted he had heard correctly. But the clear hourglass countdown in his mind constantly reminded him. The system is about to activate. He was overjoyed. Indeed, where there is a will, there's a way out. Although the specific function of the system is unclear. But with his understanding, he was certainly no ordinary person. However, between the unknown system and one's own safety, be cautious. He decided to first ensure the survival of current and future supplies. If the system has strict requirements. So, in the unknown situation, It's safer to keep your fate in your own hands. So he suddenly turned around. He completely ignored the increasingly intense doubt and probing on Lin Shuqin's face. Relying on the original owner's memories. His fingers slid rapidly. Accurately find a number in your phone's contacts. Without hesitation, he dialed the dial. The call was answered almost instantly. A rough male voice, filled with respect and flattery, rang out. He asked Lin Xiao, "What do you order?" Chen Dashan. Lin Ye's tone was resolute. With an undeniable command. "I need supplies now. A large amount of daily necessities, food, drinking water, daily necessities, and clothing. There are also medical supplies. Deliver it to Yunzhong Villa immediately." The person on the other end of the line was clearly stunned. After a few seconds of silence, he cautiously asked, "The continuous rain is scarce. Why are you hoarding these things? Make a call in your own capacity." "Nothing. This is less nonsense." Lin Ye interrupted sternly. The tone was cold. "Can it be done?" "Can't be done. I immediately switched people. There are plenty of people eager to take this order." Yes, it can definitely be done." Chun Dashan's voice instantly rose, full of urgency and flattery. "Young Master Lin, please calm down. I'll do it. Arrange it right away. You can rest assured. Definitely satisfying. So how much do you need?" "I have some sense of what I have." "How much?" Lin Ye's lips curled into a resolute smile. "How much I want is not a problem. How much can Chun Dashan bring today? I'll pay whatever you want. But remember, I only give you 1 day today. Before dark, I want to see the first batch of supplies being stored." Knock 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 on the other end of the phone. Chun Dashan was visibly excited. Huge profits have dispelled all doubts. His voice trembled slightly. "Young Master Lin, straightforward, just you wait. I'll empty the warehouse right now. I've transferred all the goods in the city for you. I guarantee it will arrive before dark. Just take a look." Hang up. Lin Ye breathed a slight sigh of relief. The first step was finally taken. Only then did she notice Lin Shuqin beside her looking at her with a strange gaze. Her beautiful eyes were filled with disbelief. Lin shouting. At this moment, Lin Shuqin hesitated, wanting to say something but holding back. "I have an urgent matter. You go quickly. You're not in a hurry to record an album." Lin Ye waved his hand. There was no time to explain at this moment. Oh yes. Lin Shuqin seemed to wake from a dream. He quickly grabbed his own bag. "Then I really have to go. If Lin Xiao didn't leave now, he'd be late." After I finished, he hadn't finished speaking. Lin Ye suddenly looked up. She looked at him with an unusually serious expression. "Wait," Lin Ye called out to him. His tone was more serious than ever. "Lin Shuqin, if you trust me, I did as I said." After recording the album, he went straight home. "Use all the funds you can mobilize to buy food, drinking water, and daily necessities. The more materials that can be stored long-term, the better. Then lock yourself in the safest room at home. Reinforce doors and windows. Remember, starting at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Don't open the door for anyone knocking. Absolutely do not drive. Unless you are absolutely sure the other party is safe." These words thundered like a thunderclap. Lin Shuqin was left dumbfounded. She blurted out instinctively. His voice trembled slightly. "Lin Xiaoning said this. Could something big happen tomorrow?" Lin Ye was taken aback. I didn't expect her to react so quickly. But he did not answer directly. She just looked at him deeply. Shinshang said, "You should be right. Believe it or not, I'll only say it once. Your life is your own." Lin Shuqin's face was filled with shock and doubt. She looked at Lin Ye's eyes, which were completely unmistakable. Only coldness and urgency in the eyes remain. His heart was pounding wildly for no reason. In the end, he nodded vigorously. A trace of determination flashed in her beautiful eyes. "I know, young Master Lin, thank you. I'll go first." He no longer hesitated. He turned and strode away. The footsteps carried a hint of panic. "Get into your own sports car. Start the engine." Lin Shuqin's hand gripping the steering wheel trembled slightly. Lin Ye's words kept replaying in his mind. He took out his phone. Looking at the date and time on the screen. December 31st, 2109. 8:25 a.m. 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, as Lin Ye mentioned. Only 23 hours and 35 minutes remained. A chill ran down his spine. Lin Ye watched as Lin Shuqin's car drove out the villa gate. Take a deep breath. Chaos is imminent. The human heart is unfathomable. If it weren't for the fact that he had calmly stayed with her last night, and a lingering trace of goodwill left by the original owner, he would never say a word of such a word. As for whether he listened or not, whether they can survive in chaotic times, it all depends on his own fate. He forced himself to stay calm. He quickly sat back down in the living room. The leather sofa's brain raced. Let Chun Dashan handle the supplies. With his channels and capabilities, Filling several warehouses today is not a big problem. But that's not enough. Memories of struggling in desperate situations in his previous life vividly surfaced. Just a few days after the power outage, the global power system is bound to collapse. Without electricity, food would spoil. Lighting, communication, and heating all became problems. The strange change in water sources will pollute most of the water supply. The system will crash quickly, becoming dangerous. Hardware must immediately address energy and water ingress issues. He grabbed his phone. This time, the call was specifically for high-end customized services for wealthy individuals. The head of the management company, Zhang Hongyu. The phone calls are almost instantaneous, but the signal is rare. Good morning. Is there anything I can do for you? Zhang Hongyuan's voice carried professional respect and a subtle hint of flattery. Zhang Hongyuan, listen, whatever I want now I will pay no price. It must be delivered to the cloud villa within today. Lin Ye's tone was firm and unquestionable. Immediately assemble the first high-power diesel power generation equipment. At least 3 stages are not staged. Industrial-grade noise reduction is required. We need as many high-quality supporting diesel as possible. Fill the villa's underground oil depot. If there is no oil depot, immediately set up temporary safe storage points. Equipped with the highest standard explosion-proof facilities. 2. Large water purification equipment. It must be able to handle complex water sources, types that can be consumed directly. 2 sets of supporting water storage facilities. The bigger the better. Install immediately. Also, fill every place where water can be stored with clean drinking water. The junk you hoard will be priceless. And I will carry memories of my past life. Make him pay the price in blood for betrayal. The pool, bathtub and water tank are all fully filled. And another truckload of bottled drinking water will be provided. 3. How many solar panels are available in stock? Install everything that can be installed on the rooftop garden holdings. The more large battery packs you need, the better. On the other end of the phone, Zhang Hongyuan was clearly shocked by my sudden arrival. A massive and urgent doomsday list holds the ground. Take a breath. Lin Xiao, are you planning to start a factory? Or should you stop talking nonsense? I interrupted sharply. Budget is not an issue. I don't care what channel you use. Before 6 p.m. today, these things must be on me. Arrive every hour early. I will pay generously. Be sure to be on time. Being late will affect the overall reluctance. Do you understand? I almost shouted out the last few of them. With an undeniable determination. Through the phone line, Zhang Hongyuan shivered all over. He instantly understood the seriousness of the situation and the benefactor's determination. I understand this letter. I mobilized all my resources. I'll give it my all and get it done for you. Guaranteed to be fully in place before 6 p.m. Full of a spirit of burning one's boats and breaking the cauldrons to burn one's boats. With generous rewards and clear realization, both as a double stimulus. Efficiency is life. I thought to myself. Hardware is available. And then what? In his previous life, he was besieged by those out-of-control creatures. The painful memories of being mocked by others flooded back. Equipment must be equipped. This is not some apocalypse of supernatural awakening. This is the body of a mortal, facing the harsh world of mutated, infected individuals. In the early stages, you might still be able to obtain long-range defense equipment. But as order collapsed, consumable equipment is hard to replenish. Cold weapons are the truly enduring and reliable companions. Long-range defense equipment is too difficult to get ready. There is too much movement. Moreover, consumable equipment is difficult to replenish. I quickly analyzed the situation. It requires reliable, durable, powerful, and relatively quiet melee and ranged equipment. My fingers searched through my phone again. He quickly locked onto a name, Old Wu. In my memory, Old Wu had a wide range of connections. Specialized equipment was prepared for some wealthy individuals and security companies. This includes some special equipment and high-end cold weapons. The call connected, ringing several times before being answered. A hoarse, alert voice rang out. Which one is me? Lin Ye. I'll give my name. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line. His tone immediately became cautious and respectful. But I wonder what you have for you. Old Wu, I need to equip cold weapons. Now is the time to get the best. I get straight to the point. The tone is unquestionable. Cold and cold weapons. Old Wu seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. But then he was a bit puzzled. Young Master Lin, are you playing for collecting or for self-defense? My words are concise and to the point. Don't talk nonsense. I want a high-strength self-defense baton. The highest quality. There are also tactical techniques for recurve bows. High-intensity training with scopes. The more swordsmen, the better. On the other end of the line, Old Wu clearly gasped. Tactical skill, recurve bow. This thing isn't as powerful as some long-range defense devices. And the quantity and variety I want. It doesn't sound like simple self-defense. Lin Xiao, these are all exclusive equipment. And all of these, bright. Old Wu's voice was troubled. The reward is doubled. I said coldly. Today, before sunset, I delivered it to the villa in the clouds. Also, prepare a few sets of top-level protective suits for me. Can a protective shield do that? Hear that rewards are doubled and the highest level of shield. Old Wu's hesitation was instantly crushed by greed. He gritted his teeth. Alright, Lin Xiao is straightforward. Old Wu just want to build a bunch of things. I have stock in stock, all top-tier products. We guarantee delivery to your villa before dark. But for now, I don't need to interrupt him for anything else. That's all. Hang up with Old Wu as soon as possible. I got up immediately, striding toward the villa's huge floor-to-ceiling windows, overlooking the hillside below. The villa-like main structure and spacious courtyard resemble a small estate. Time is too tight. Hardware equipment procurement takes time. Installation and commissioning require more time. I frowned. You must immediately contact a professional engineering team. Generators, solar panels, water purification systems. All of these require professional installation. There is also the villa's own reinforcement of defenses, doors, windows, and walls. I was rapidly calculating the resources and connections I could mobilize, although the original owner of this body was a doll. But the connections and financial networks left behind remain vast. Security companies. Yes, find the best security company. They sent their most professional engineering team over. Budget is not an issue. The installation of core equipment and initial reinforcement of the defenses must be completed within today. Even if it sets up a framework first. Picked up my phone again. His fingers flew as he dialed one phone after another. My voice was calm and decisive, with unquestionable authority and confidence from a well-funded environment. Instructions were rapidly passed out. Inside the vast, luxurious villa, only my hurried footsteps remained, and the voice of a voice quickly issuing orders into the phone. Sunlight streamed through the huge floor-to-ceiling windows, filling the air with warmth and brightness. Yet it couldn't dispel the ever-deepening coldness and whine in my eyes. There were less than 24 hours left until the bizarre red girl who changed everything. Every second is precious. A mad race against time. The curtain had already quietly begun in this upscale cloud villa. Outside the window, the city was still bustling with traffic. A peaceful faction. No one knew that the global catastrophe was counting down. And my gaze has already passed beyond the bustling cityscape. It was as if he could see it at 8 a.m. tomorrow. The one that drifts down from the gloomy sky. A raincoat with an ominous aura. I clenched my fists. The knuckles are white. This time, I will never become a lamb waiting to be slaughtered again. I want to live and live better than anyone else. And those memories. A trace of determination flashed in my eyes. I have to protect myself. Never repeat the same mistakes. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Chapter 4. Several hours of racing against time. Noon is 12 and 12 minutes. Put down the last call. I felt a brief dizziness. High-intensity recall memory. Issuing orders to handle huge sums of money. For someone like me who had just crossed in less than 4 hours, it was a huge burden. I leaned against the cold floor-to-ceiling window, watching the trucks and construction vehicles begin to drive in one after another. A chaotic yet efficient construction scene is unfolding. At this moment, a strong sense of unfamiliarity and a slight sense of rejection. Without warning, it surged from deep within her body, as if by the instinct of this strong body, resisting the sole command of me, an outsider. I let out a muffled groan. The knuckles gripping the window frame turned pale. I gritted my teeth. A flash of sharpness passed through his eyes. This body is mine now. Give me some points. I forced myself to suppress that discomfort. He took a deep breath. Now is not the time to challenge your body's instincts. Every bit of strength must be used where it matters most. I hurried toward the villa's vast underground garage. This place used to be packed with top-tier supercars. At this moment it felt empty. Most of them were temporarily moved by my orders. Make room to receive the flood of supplies about to arrive. Just as he reached the garage entrance, he saw a heavy truck labeled Dashin Logistics, roaring as he rushed into the villa's main gate. Following behind them was a long line of trucks of the same model. Like a steel dragon, the front passenger of the lead truck jumped out. A sturdy, middle-aged man with a rosy face. It was Chun Dashin. Lin Xiao. Lin Xiao. Chun Dashin waved his arm. His voice was loud and filled with uncontrollable excitement. The first car was full of hard goods. Compressed biscuits, military canned food, vacuum rice, and bottled water pipes are enough. There are still more than a dozen cars behind. Inside are grains and oils, frozen meat, vegetables, seasonings and daily chemicals. I've almost moved all the warehouses I can move. Look at Qian. I looked at the truckload full of boxes of supplies printed with various labels. His mind gradually calmed. Although Chun Dashin is greedy, but the efficiency is indeed high. All are unloaded into the underground garage. Sort and stack them to leave passageways. I pointed to the huge garage space, saying it had to be fast. Later, there were also people from the generator and security engineering departments coming. Alright, don't worry. Chun Dashin turned around and shouted into the walkie-talkie. Guys, did you hear that? The underground parking garage operates quickly. Young Master Lin couldn't treat everyone unfairly. The workers immediately got to work with great enthusiasm. I didn't stop. He turned and walked toward the villa's main control room. There is an intelligent control system and surveillance network for the entire villa. I need to make sure it happens before the power outage. This system can operate independently. Moreover, the monitoring coverage must cover every corner inside and outside the wall. When I arrived at the control room, blocked by an alloy door, through memory, I put my thumb on the fingerprint lock. Authentication successful. The alloy door silently cracked. I breathed a sigh of relief. He walked in quickly. The huge curved screen split dozens of surveillance footage. I quickly got to work, check backup power lines and set key monitoring areas. Connect the newly added surveillance cameras on the wall to the system. And activated the highest level intrusion alarm mode. This system itself has a certain level of power supply capability. But it won't last long. The grid connection of solar and generator units must be completed as soon as possible. Just as I was fully focused on debugging the system, a piercing phone rang out in the main control room. A name appeared on the screen. Young Master Zhao. I frowned. At this moment, this body and friends from that circle. Just a typical drinking buddy. I was about to hang up right away, but then he reconsidered and answered the video call. A face with a hangover and swelling immediately appeared on the screen. The background was noisy music and the teasing laughter of women. Young Master Lin, the sun is rising in the west. At this hour, not some kind of tender place, yet actually at home. Young Master Zhao grinned mischievously. My tongue is a bit tangled. That night, Huang Chao organized a big party. A few new guests arrived. Bro specially reserved a spot for you. It must come. How beautiful and quiet would it be without you? I looked at that face on the screen, completely devoid of any sense of danger. In her heart, there was only cold disgust and a trace of pity. A day later, this scene of drunken life and death before him would completely turn into hell. No time. My voice was as cold as ice. No time. Young Master Zhao stared exaggeratedly and leaned close to the screen. It seemed she wanted to see my expression clearly. What are you doing? Hatching eggs at home? Oh my god. What kind of construction site is your screen behind you? Why does your home look like it was demolished? Young Master Zhao clearly saw the construction drawings on the surveillance screen behind me. Renovation. My words are concise and to the point. I don't want to waste words. Renovating this show is like building a fortress. Young Master Zhao clicked his tongue in amazement. Then he showed a strange smile. Understood, understood. Is he playing some new trick? Set up a themed escape room. Lin Xiao really knows how to play. Once it's done, let the brothers see for themselves. I couldn't be bothered to waste words with him anymore. He pressed the hang-up button directly. The screen instantly went black, isolating the world on the verge of falling into the abyss. I looked up at the huge electronic clock in the control room. December 31st, 2109. 13. 4. 17:22. There were still 18 hours until that red rain. 12 minutes and 38 seconds. The roaring noise of biological materials being transported during construction. And in the cold light of the surveillance screen. 1 minute and 1 second mercilessly slipped by. My gaze swept over the surveillance footage. The garage was piled up with piles of items. Workers installing alloy plates on 4 Hanflowers on the township wall. In the courtyard, engineers are busy directing the hoisting of the massive diesel generator base. There is also a low-key van. He silently stopped at the villa's side door. That was the prototype of the fortress that old Wu had given exclusive equipment. It is in this high-end cloud. The villa took shape at an almost insane speed. And I, the Reborn with a sufficient budget. He was mobilizing vast amounts of money and connections. A high-stakes gamble against the apocalypse, racing against every second. I walked to the huge floor-to-ceiling windows, overlooking the manor below, which looks like a massive construction site. The sun is still shining brightly. The city skyline is clearly visible. A scene of prosperity and prosperity. Only I know how deep the despair lurks beneath this prosperity. Gugu, I was stunned. He touched his abdomen. Only then did he remember he had been busy all morning. He hadn't even eaten a sip of water or a bite of food. I turned and rushed into the villa. The open kitchen rivals that of a five-star hotel kitchen. Open the huge double-door refrigerator. Inside there was a dazzling array of dazzling items, stuffed with various imported fruits, top-quality steak and caviar. It was all justice for the original owner to enjoy life. I didn't hesitate in the slightest. He grabbed a few boxes of high-calorie chocolates and a few bottles of functional drinks. He also sliced a large piece of top-quality ham. Gobbled it up. The energy from food quickly replenished my nearly overdrawn body. At the same time, my brain was still working at high speed. Check for omissions and fill in gaps. Food and water sources. Chun Dashin is working on hardware and engineering. The security company was preparing the equipment, and Old Wu was in charge. What other medicines? Even a small wound infection in the apocalypse can be fatal. Antibiotics, anti-inflammatory drugs, painkillers, hemostatic bandages, disinfectant alcohol, suture kits. There are also various vitamins and medications for chronic diseases, although I myself currently don't have any. But there's no guarantee there won't be future needs or opportunities to trade. I immediately placed an order on my phone. It nearly emptied the inventory of several large chain pharmacies in the city. All the addresses were filled in as Yunzhong Villa. Immediate delivery was requested. Shipping fees are unlimited. At the same time, I also contacted the head of a private high-end medical institution I remembered. Private first aid kit has been formed. Ordered a batch of professional-grade battlefield first aid kits at a high price. Special prescription medicine. Although the other party was puzzled. But in the face of my financial strength once again, all doubts turn into efficient execution. Time flies by in the frenzy of phone orders and the feast of food. The antique clock on the wall coldly pointed to 3:30 p.m. There are 16 hours left until the apocalypse arrives. Asterisk, 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 Chapter 5. The apocalypse erupts, the night is already deep. The hand quietly passed 11 o'clock. Inside the luxurious master bedroom, I felt as if all my strength had been drained. She collapsed onto the soft velvet bed. Exhaustion surged like a tide. Wave after wave struck my tense nerves. But my mind was still analyzing the current situation. Chun Dashin's supply convoy finally stopped roaring before sunset. Several huge cold storage and drying warehouses were packed to the brim. Frozen and cured meats piled up like mountains. Hundreds of tons of reserves are enough to last me for years. The engineering team from the security company Panshidan seemed to be injected with adrenaline. Stimulated by generous rewards, the opportunity was abruptly completed at a critical moment in the villa. The diesel generator set roared in the corner of the courtyard, signaling the reagent had succeeded. Thick cables connect to the villa like blood vessels. The roof is covered with brand new arrays of solar panels. The core components of large-scale water purification equipment have also been installed. Just wait for the water source to connect and debug the villa's own defenses. The heavy alloy door replaced the original pillar. The key weak points of the outer wall. Emergency reinforcement was also carried out, although I still have some distance from the fortress I envisioned. But at least it has begun to take shape. No longer a glamorous birdman at others' mercy. It seems I've already done everything I could. All that remains is waiting. Waiting for that destined red rain. Waiting for the moment the system activates. This thought was like a final reassurance. Let my tense nerves relax a little. A wave of exhaustion swept over him. As they considered the possible scenarios for tomorrow, I fell into a deep sleep. A harsh ringtone from his phone. He roughly pulled me back from my deep sleep. 3:30 a.m. Outside the window it was still pitch black. I fumbled to grab my phone. His voice was heavy with sleepiness. Hey young Master Lin, this is old Zhang from Panshidan. On the other end of the line there was the same exhaustion, but with a hint of ease after completing a mission. The villa's defense system allows for travel. As per your requirements, the most crucial parts have been addressed. Why don't you get up and check it out now? No need. My voice was low and hoarse, but it was exceptionally straightforward. Thank you for your hard work. Later, I'll transfer a generous reward to your account. I'll split the hardship fees for the brothers. Oh thank you Lin Dashao. You are so open-minded. Old Zhang's voice instantly rose, full of surprises and gratitude. We've cleaned up all the construction waste. Guaranteed to wake up to a brand new fortress. Then let's withdraw first. Let's withdraw. I hung up. Throw your phone aside. Almost the moment my head touched the pillow again. His consciousness sank back into boundless darkness. I'm so tired. Both body and mind were pushed to the limit. Early the next morning at 7:30. The sharp alarm clock woke me up right on time. I struggled to sit up. It felt as if every bone in my body was groaning. Forcing myself to finish washing up from kitchens piled high with ready-to-eat foods. He casually grabbed something high in calories and stuffed it into his mouth, mechanically chewing. Outside the window, the sky was as dark as a block of lead. The heavy clouds pressed down so hard it was hard to breathe. The air was filled with a heavy atmosphere of an impending storm. 7:51. The huge LCD TV in the living room was on. In the news, the host was reporting with a serious expression. Emergency meteorological warning. Abnormally strong convective weather will affect our city. The strongest rainstorm on record is imminent. The meteorological department issued the highest level red alert. All citizens are urged to stay at home. Do not go outside. I stood in front of the huge floor-to-ceiling window. Unconsciously, Masa held an energy sword in his hand. This was the top-tier goods old Wu delivered last night. A cold mockery curled at the corner of my mouth. Muttering, "It's too late to say these things now." My gaze was fixed firmly on the mechanical watch on my wrist. The second hand ticked steadily and steadily. Each panel seemed to be ringing the countdown to the arrival of a crisis. 7 hours, 59 minutes, and 57 seconds, 58 seconds. 59 seconds. My heart pounded heavily in my chest. A mix of tension and anticipation. A trace of morbid excitement even surged through his body. Ding, 8 o'clock exactly is now. A deafening thunderclap exploded without any warning. It was as if it could shake the entire horizon. The sturdy villa trembled slightly. Immediately after, the pale gray sky outside the window. It was as if an invisible giant hand had pierced it hard. A torrential downpour poured down in an instant. That was not ordinary rainwater. Raindrops are murky. It carried a strange blackness as rare as ink. Crashed wildly to the ground. In an instant, the entire world was shrouded in a gray-black curtain of water. Here we go. My gaze was as sharp as a blade. Staring intently out the window, the first few seconds were deathly silent. Only the deafening sound of rain remains. Then the mutation began. Ugh! An abnormal cry suddenly pierced through the clouds and mist. I saw a man in a suit with my own eyes. Suddenly stiffened in the rain. He convulsed violently. Her skin tone was unusual. His gaze turned wild. He suddenly turned his head. A low, restless growl came from his throat. He rushed toward a nearby bystander who was frozen in place. Ah, help! Hunger! The cries for help from the others abruptly stopped. Instead, there was a terrifying noise. An unknown liquid and black rainwater instantly filled the ground. This is just the beginning. Anyone on the street who was soaked through by that eerie black rain, almost all within just a dozen seconds, completed a terrifying transformation from human to mutant. Abnormal shouts, a disturbed low growl, all kinds of chaotic sounds instantly intertwined. The street that had just been orderly. In an instant, chaos erupted. Broken objects rolled in the rain. Dark colors mixed with ink black. Shocking. The TV news footage also switched instantly. It turned into a scene equally tragic across different cities. The host's terrified voice was broken and intermittent. Globally, the global scope is unknown. Infections and attacks, citizens stayed at home. Chaos, utter chaos. The veil of civilization was torn to shreds in just a few minutes. Only I stood like a rock before the huge floor-to-ceiling windows. There was no surprise on my face. There was only a calm as if sealed in ice. And the coldness deep in his eyes that finally settled after the dust settled. Outside the window, chaos erupted. Inside the window was a temporary isolated island. At this moment, a cold, emotionless, mechanical synthesized sound. It echoed clearly deep in my mind. Ding! The crisis countdown has ended. The merit war system has been successfully activated. Bind the sole host, forestry. Honorable Marshal. This system is dedicated to serving you. Here it comes. I suddenly felt a jolt of spirit. His thoughts instantly sank into his mind. A simple yet semi-transparent interface full of military technology. It surfaced in my consciousness. It is mainly divided into 3 major sections. Weapons, armies, supplies. At the top of the interface, the current merit points were clearly marked as 0. Next to it is a tiny dynamic number. Add 1 + 1 + 1. It beats at a stable frequency once per second. Every second, one achievement. I was ecstatic. This is like being able to mobilize troops while lying down. I immediately used my mind to open the weapons section. Boy! Except for individual soldiers, the column is bright. Other things like tanks, armor, and air power are all gray. Shows insufficient permissions and unlock. I opened the single soldier slot. In an instant, a dazzling array of weapon icons and streams of information flooded his mind. From the basic MCH bulletproof helmet, 50 merit, NIJ level 4 bulletproof plate, 100 merit, to various deadly weapons and tactical demolition devices. A set of 2150 merit points. The assault rifle contains a 30-round magazine. X 300 merit points, tactical carbine. 200 merit. There are even heavy armor-piercing devices with 800 merit. Classic individual weapons from around the world are almost everywhere. Assault guns only cost 100 merit. I do quick mental calculations 1 point per second. In a few minutes I could switch to a gun and several magazines. Can arm your teeth in just 10 minutes. A surge of indescribable passion. In an instant all previous fatigue and tension vanished. Yesterday, the hard work of stockpiling supplies and reinforcing the house. Faced with firearms that are within easy reach, it seemed like all the effort was in vain. I took a deep breath, suppressed that thought. Instead, I opened the military section. Seeing this, I was already mentally prepared. He couldn't help but gasp in shock. Infantry squads, infantry platoons, and armored battalions were clearly hierarchical. The momentum is magnificent. But the high demand for merit points made my scalp tingle. Standard infantry squad has a 10-person system. 50,000 merit heavy equipment combined brigade. 000,000 meritorious heavy armored group army. That long string at the end. Just one glance made me feel dizzy. Each class earned 50,000 yuan. 86,400 seconds a day. It means I do nothing. In less than a day you can exchange for a fully armed infantry barns. Boy, if Li Yunlong had had the system back then, he would surely wipe out the enemy's stronghold. Although it was still far from those big guys. But this start has far exceeded my expectations. Finally, I opened the supplies section. The prices here are outrageously cheap. 24 bottles of purified water. 1 box, 1 merit bucket instant noodles 12 boxes. 1 merit battlefield first aid kit. Base 50 merit water. 1 merit point, 1 mention instant noodles 1 merit box. I looked at the mountain of supplies piled up in the warehouse. Suddenly, I felt a bit sorry for him. Yesterday I spent real money. But after thinking about it, your own stockpile still holds value. Generally, the system has enormous potential. Its functionality is truly extraordinary. It's just that the permissions are too low. Most of the good items are locked in the system. I sent a telepathic inquiry about how to increase permissions. Unlock higher-level redemption items. The cold mechanical sound responded immediately. Ways to enhance permissions. Eliminate those with mutations. Clear the common mutants. You can earn 1 point of merit points, accumulated over time. When clearing the mutants, there is a very low chance of dropping blueprint cores for corresponding weapon and vehicle units. Obtaining the blueprint core unlocks the item's exchange rights in the system. Clearing mutations can also earn merit. And drop rate unlocks. Golden light flashed in my eyes. This means my earning merit speed will no longer be limited to just 1 point per second. I suddenly clenched the energy in my hand. Once again I looked out the window at that chaotic place. It was no longer simply a place of extinction. It was also a training ground for me to gain power and unlock permissions. Those who are strange or unusual. I licked my slightly dry lips. A fierce flame ignited in his chest. Your merits. I got D. The marshal was detected activating the system for the first time. Special gift pack for new elite commanders. Whether to sign for it. That cold system notification sound. At this moment it sounded like heavenly music. Beginner package. My heart skipped a beat. A wave of overwhelming ecstasy instantly overwhelmed me. The system gives out benefits at the start. This is basically the standard feature of post-apocalyptic survival. Signed for. Ding. Congratulations to the Marshal for successfully signing for the claim. New Elite Commander Newbie Gift Pack. Obtain the following items. Marshal's exclusive uniform set X1. 2. Primary antiviral agent X1. 3. Primary gene improvement agent X1. 4. Random elite special operations squads. 12 people to X1. All items have been distributed to the system space. The Marshal can retrieve it at any time by telepathy. C looked at the list. I couldn't help but gasp. A wave of exhilaration shot from his spine straight to the crown of his head. Exclusive military uniform anti-infection virus agent. This is practically a get-out-of-jail-free card in the apocalypse. Gene improvement agents. Just from the name, it's impressive. The most important one was a 12-person special operations squad directly sent to me. This isn't a beginner's gift pack. This was like giving away a divine weapon right from the start. All are treasures, treasures of the greatest heavens. My fingers trembled with excitement. His mind moved. A syringe filled with a pale blue liquid, and a glass tube filled with emerald green potion appeared in his hand. I picked up the antiviral agent first. The label says, after injection, it can provide 90% immunity against infection, bites, scratches, and bodily fluid contact. 90%. That's enough. I didn't hesitate in the slightest. Roll up your sleeves. He decisively pushed the cold liquid in. A cool, tingling sensation spread along his veins. I knew I had gained a life-saving talisman. Then I picked up the vial of the emerald green gene improvement potion. The label's description made my heart race even more. Primary gene improvement agents are taken orally. Comprehensively strengthen physical fitness. The effect is about 5 times the average level of top human soldier kings. Concentrate. The transformation process was accompanied by intense pain. Those whose will is weak should be used with caution. 5 times the king of soldiers. My eyes were about to pop out. You have to know, the physical fitness limit for a normal person is only about 10 points. The top-tier soldier king is at most 15. 5 times the king of soldiers. That wouldn't just push me to a terrifying 75 points. This has completely surpassed the realm of humanity. This is so heavenly. It's practically a cheat tailor-made for the apocalypse. The end is coming. Who cares about common sense that I like it? I no longer hesitate. Pull out the stopper. He tilted his head back and drank the emerald green liquid, which emitted a strange fragrance. The liquid went down the throat and felt slightly cool. It lasted less than 3 seconds. My body is undergoing extreme transformation. An indescribable pain. Without warning, a sudden eruption erupted from within his body. The pain was extremely intense. My will was facing a tremendous test. I felt my whole body making a sound of overwhelmed strain. The muscle fibers seemed to be being rewoven with a thud. I couldn't even make a complete cry. His vision went black and he collapsed straight to the floor. Her body trembled violently, uncontrollably. Beads of sweat the size of beans instantly soaked through his clothes. The face was as pale as paper. Teeth clenched. This kind of challenge far surpasses how I felt when I was severely wounded in my previous life. With my current willpower, I can't bear it at all. Less than a minute. The intense impact completely swallowed my consciousness. My vision was completely plunged into darkness. The system notification sounded just as it ended. In the spacious living room before me, the air is like water surface thrown into a pebble. Ripples spread across the waves. The next second, 12 tower-like burly men appeared out of thin air. The whole process was eerily quiet. They landed silently. His posture stands upright like a javelin. Their movements were neat and synchronized. It was as if someone had copied and pasted it 11 times. I squinted and sized up the group. I know the Snow Leopard assault team all too well. 12 people wear the latest digital camouflage combat suits. On his chest is a badge featuring a snow leopard's head and a cross dagger. Tactical vests are covered with various gear. Helmet, night vision goggles, and face shield are all provided. Only pairs of cold, sharp eyes were revealed. From head to toe, this group exuded one word: deadly. Immediately after, an even more shocking scene unfolded. Moves of 12 iron-blooded tough guys. As if measured with a ruler, they all raised their hands in salute. A chilling atmosphere instantly enveloped the entire living room. 7th Squad of the Snow Leopard assault team reported to the Marshal. Please instruct. The voices were not loud, but their voices thundered in unison. The vibration made my eardrums buzz. My heart surged, yet his face remained calm. Is this me? The Imperial soldier pressed down with excitement. My gaze swept over everyone like a searchlight. Who is the captain? Step forward. My voice was steady and powerful. The burly man stepped forward. The sound of his heel hitting the ground made a crisp sound. Reported Chun Feng, captain of the Snow Leopard Commando. I asked the Marshal to give instructions. I nodded. Get straight to the point. Let me report your weapon configurations. Yes, Marshal. Chun Feng's voice was as clear as if he were reciting a document. The assault team consists of 4 members with main weapons. A new assault rifle. Secondary weapon, a new submachine gun. Plus a 40mm smart grenade launcher. 2 from the precision marksman group. Main weapon, a new designated marksman rifle. Secondary weapon, a new type of pistol. 2 members of the demolition support team. Main weapon, a new light machine gun. 200-round chain case. It also comes with a single-soldier rocket launcher and a goal-breaking system. The sniper team consists of 2 people, with a new sniper rifle as the main weapon. There are also anti-material sniper rifles and anti-material electromagnetic jamming guns. Finally, the tactical command team consists of 2 people. Main weapon, a new short-barreled rifle. Equipped with battlefield AI decision-making terminals and microdrone swarm systems. The report is complete. I asked the Marshal to give instructions. My heart jolted as I listened. Boy, this configuration is truly luxurious. The end times had just begun. With this gear, handling large-scale dangers was no problem at all. This is simply a dimensionality reduction blow. Just as he was thinking this, the long-sealed voice rang out again. Reported to the Marshal. An abnormal biological activity machine detected around the villa's perimeter. Preliminary assessment is that it is a low-threat target. Request combat orders. I raised my eyebrows. He walked to the window and pulled the curtain open just a crack. Enhanced vision is like an eagle's eye. Even the torrential downpour couldn't stop it. Outside the villa's iron fence, a dozen or so mutilated figures were wandering about. Some are missing arms and legs. Her movements were stiff, yet she kept moving closer to the villa. Several hands repeatedly tapped on the iron door, made a screeching sound. In the farther rain curtain, more shadows were moving forward. Clearly, this luxury villa was in chaos, like a lighthouse in the night, attracting the surrounding zombies. At this moment, the system's cold notification sounded in his mind. Ding! The system publishes main quests. Within half a year, Donghai City was liberated. And establish a new order. Task reward blueprint specifies permissions. You can unlock any unactivated exchange item. X12 advanced antiviral serums. Permanent immunity to zombie viruses. The X13 heavy combat brigade is fully strengthened. X1 6 months liberation of Donghai City. My pupils suddenly contracted. This difficulty is comparable to reaching the sky. Donghai City has a permanent population of 50 million. Even if 70% are infected, there are also 35 million zombies. And I clearly remember a month later. Here, intelligent zombie mothers appear. It was he who turned the entire Donghai City into a living hell. Never mind. No matter how much you think it's useless, the rice should be eaten in one bite. The road must be taken step by step. For now, they should first clear out the zombies at their doorstep. I turned around. His gaze instantly turned icy cold. Everyone put on silencers. Precise strikes inside the villa. Address external targets. Be careful not to get caught in the black rain. I paused. A cold smile curled at the corner of his mouth. He added, "And ammunition can be used freely. If you run out, I'll make up for it, unlimited supply." This is not a bragging system. In the shop, rifle magazines have a base capacity of 400 rounds. Only 1 point of merit points is required. A machine gun magazine with 1,000 rounds is only 2 rounds. I can fully afford this amount of merit points. Got it. The 12 people roared in unison. The piercing atmosphere made the living room feel a bit cooler. The team members sprang into action immediately. The action flows smoothly, so fast it's dazzling. Check the weapons and remove the silencer. A series of actions at the muzzle were executed seamlessly. Chun Feng made several tactical gestures. The 12 people instantly split into 4 groups. 2 snipers darted up to the second floor like ghosts. Seized the best shooting spots. Some of the other team members were guarding the floor-to-ceiling windows. Some got stuck at the garage entrance. In an instant, it weaves an impenetrable network of firepower. I was standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, amid the sound of rain outside, mixed with zombie howls and the slow sound of footsteps. I can even see their grayish-white skin, cloudy eyeballs. There was also sticky liquid hanging from the corner of his mouth. "Marshal, the target has been locked." Chun Feng's voice entered his ears through the micro-headphones. At some point, the earphones had been stuffed into his ear canal. I only uttered 4 words. "Free fire." A very faint muffled thud rang out. Outside the eastern fence of the villa, a zombie dressed in a courier uniform suddenly tilted its head backward. A precise bullet hole appeared in the center of his forehead. After a couple of shakes, he collapsed straight to the ground. A puddle of black muddy water splashed up. Immediately after, 2 almost overlapping soft sounds came from the second floor. In the distant thickets, the 2 zombies tearing things apart fell to the ground with a crash. The head was hit precisely. Move the target in the 11 o'clock direction. The voices of the 3 communications officers were as calm as Uncle Leopard. A machine gunner was received and maintained his posture. Perform a short triple combo in that direction. Puff, 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 3 dark shadows fell one after another. One of them missed a vital spot. His upper body was still writhing on the ground. Immediately, a bullet was sent to fill the gap. Accurate hit to the head. I watched all this with a blank expression. This is not a battle. It was a precise and extreme light suppression. Every move of these special forces soldiers was practically textbook. They hide themselves very well, never touching a single drop of black rain. Deal with the zombies outside in the most efficient way. Clusters appear in garage passages. The target number is about 15. The voice of the demolition expert suddenly rang out. With a hint of caution, I immediately turned to look. Sure enough, the zombies were drawn by the noise. Were staggering in from the main road of the residential complex. Step on the black standing water. Rain wets their decaying skin. Eerie white smoke began to rise. Crossfire preparation. Chun Feng immediately gave the order. Grenade launchers, smoke blocking the way. Understood. 1 team member knelt on 1 knee. Swift and agile. A grenade is loaded into the launcher under the barrel. A muffled sound. Smoke grenades trace arcs. It landed precisely about 5 meters in front of the zombie horde. There was a sizzle. Thick gray smoke instantly spread, blocking the zombies' line of sight. They instantly lost their way, crashing recklessly through the smoke, switching to armor-piercing incendiary rounds. The dusty orders followed closely behind. 2 soft clicks. 2 team members completed ammo type changes. Boom boom. 2 orange-red fireballs exploded among the lion pride. The high temperatures instantly ignite the zombies. A pungent smell of burnt drifted over the glass. Several burning zombies were still charging forward. Just as he ran out of the smoke range, he was hit in the head by a precise bullet. The cleanup lasted nearly an hour. The area around the villa finally returned to silence. Only the rustling sound of rain washing over the ground remained. On the system map in his mind, centered around villas, all red dots within a 200-meter radius disappear. The area was cleaned up. A total of 137 targets were addressed. Chun Fenghui reported. Request for perimeter alert deployment. I was just about to nod. Suddenly, the sniper's urgent warning came through the earpiece. Note: an abnormal moment of movement occurs 300 meters southeast. Everyone's nerves were on edge. I immediately narrowed my eyes. The strengthened forces pierced through the rain curtain. He stared intently in that direction. The 3 shadows appeared in extremely bizarre poses. He quickly rushed toward the villa. That wasn't a zombie mountain of winding mountains. Instead, he was on all fours, charging and firing like a cheetah. My heart sank. He growled without hesitation. The next second, 12 muzzles simultaneously spewed tongues of fire. The dense bullets spread like a large net. He aimed at the 3 monsters. One of them was hit and knocked down by machine gun bullets on the spot. The other 2 dodged nimbly through the hail of bullets. The speed is amazing. 200 meters away. For the first time, the observer's voice carried a heavy tone. A chill instantly ran down my spine. This is definitely not an ordinary zombie. I grabbed my binoculars. Finally, I got a clear look at their faces. Although the joints are humanoid, they grow in reverse. His fingernails turned into black, long claws. There was only a crack on his face that reached the ear. A mouth full of sharp teeth. With a heavy muffled thud, there was a heavy muffled thud, like a battering ram striking it. The sniper switched weapons. 12.7 millimeters armor-piercing rounds for anti-material rifles directly hit the monster charging at the front. It transformed into a handful of golden mist. But another monster seized the opening. It had already reached within 100 meters. He suddenly leapt up with a kick. He even tried to jump over the 3-meter-high wall. The gathering fire shouts carried urgency. In an instant, all the gun barrels were aimed at the monster in midair. Bullets traced bright lines in the rain. The monster was struck one after another in midair. Golden points of light exploded all over his body. In the end, it scrofted and crashed outside the wall. Golden liquid splashed all around. Target clearing. The sniper confirmed. His voice was clearly more nervous than before. I frowned. The evolved ones hadn't expected to meet so soon. The memories of the previous life tell me. This monster was someone with extremely strong physical attributes in life. Mutated after infection with the virus. But ultimately it was flesh and blood. No matter how tough it is, even under heavy firepower, there was no way to withstand it. Even if the head is injured, it can still move. Then defeat them completely. It left him immobile. Continue to be vigilant. I gave the order coldly. Chun Feng took 2 people to collect samples. Put on protective clothing. Do not touch the black feathers or those golden liquids. Chun Feng immediately called out the 2 of them. The 3 of them put on heavy protective suits. Like an astronaut, they detoured through the underground passage. Why sampling? Just leave a backhand. Maybe something useful could be discovered later. As for whether it can succeed, it's not something I need to worry about right now. I turned and walked to the tactical terminal. Pulled up the satellite map of Donghai City. The outline of the entire city flickered on the screen. Large areas of the city center have turned red and black. Liberate this place in half a year. I looked at the dense red dots on the map representing loss. His fists clenched so tightly they cracked. This is just the beginning. At this moment, the system voice sounded again. Ding, detected Marshal defeating 140 zombies. Start settling rewards. Ding gains 140 merit points. New assault rifle blueprint X1. Infantry blueprint X1. Blueprint has been revealed. I was happy. He immediately opened the system panel. Unlocking the new assault rifle requires 500 merit points. Unlocking the infantry badge requires 150,000 merit points. Let me first check the infantry card configuration. He was instantly stunned. 3 10-man infantry squads, a 6-person firepower squad, plus a layout. Each infantry squad is equipped with an assault vehicle as standard. Squad leaders, deputy squad leaders, riflemen, machine gunners, designated marksmen, and rocket launcher operators were all present. Its firepower configuration is even more formidable. Directly equipped with anti-tank missiles and large-caliber anti-tank rocket launchers. This configuration is simply beyond imagination. This is no ordinary card. Calling it a strengthening card is far from enough. The firepower was extremely powerful. Meanwhile, 1 kilometer away, Chengwang Community. The top floor of a tall building. Bang! A high-power telescope was smashed hard onto the windowsill. Hu Biao narrowed his triangular eyes filled with golden glowing spots. Staring intently at the distant villa in the clouds shrouded in mist and rain. The scar on his face stretched from his eyebrows to the corner of his mouth. It looked especially menacing. Combat teams. He licked his cracked lips. The voice is hoarse. Wrong. How could a combat team be stationed inside the villa carrying out missions? Just now, he had seen the zombies outside the villa being hit with precision. The gunfire was extremely faint. With his years of experience, you can tell at a moment it's a professional weapon equipped with top-tier silencers. Private armed groups. This thought had just crossed his mind. He himself denied it. How could there possibly be private armed forces in this place? Able to afford such equipment. A team of such quality is far from ordinary. Those guys' tactical moves cross screens. Precise shots. Definitely at the level of a top-tier special forces unit. Hu Biao was wary. He decided never to provoke these ruthless people. Brother Biao. A cautious voice came from outside the door. In the end, Hu Biao withdrew his thoughts. The flesh on his face trembled. A tall, thin man pushed the door open. A fawning and fierce smile hung on his face. Biao Gu has controlled everything above the 14th floor. The woman from 1802. The door was too sturdy to pry open. He sleazily made a curved gesture. The neighbors said that woman was especially beautiful. Still a little girl. Useless stuff. Hu Biao kicked over the chair next to him. The tall, skinny one shivered in fear. Biaoga calmed his anger. The tall, skinny guy has enough merit points. Decide after summoning a new team. At this moment, suddenly, the phone in his pocket vibrated. I was stunned for a moment. At a time like this, there was actually a phone call to get through. The name flashing on the screen was Lin Xueqin. I hesitated. He still answered the phone. Hey Lin Xiao, is that you? On the other end of the line came a woman's trembling, tear-filled voice. Please, come save me. There are monsters all around my house. I listened expressionlessly to you, young Master Lin. Lin Xueqin's voice grew even more panicked. The phone background clearly audible loud banging on the door. Why should I save you? I finally spoke. The voice was icy cold. The other end instantly went silent. Then came suppressed sobbing. We were together just yesterday. You said you would protect me. That was forestry of the past. Not who I am now. I sneered in my heart. Fingers slid across the tablet. The Jade Bay apartment where Lin Xueqin lives. It is a full 27 kilometers from here. There were 3 areas densely packed with zombies in between. There are now at least 5 million zombies in the city center. You think I can get through, but you have a combat team. He suddenly became excited. I saw the video in the owner's group. There is a queue at your villa. Please save me. The news spread pretty quickly. But it doesn't matter. Waiting for a complete power outage. These people's phones are just useless bricks. Listen as I interrupt him. His tone was calm, yet carried an undeniable coldness. This is not a regular army. Second, they are only responsible for protecting my safety. Third, I paused, listening to the louder banging on the other end of the phone. What you should think about now is how to survive on your own. Instead of relying on others. You're going too far. Lin Xueqin completely broke down, screaming on the other end of the line. None of you men are reliable. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. After a burst of electric currents, the call was completely cut off. It seems the signal base station in the city center has also been completely paralyzed. I put down my phone. I noticed Chun Feng and the others were all looking at me. There is a problem. I asked coldly. Report to the marshal. Chun Feng immediately straightened up. Just residents of Jade Bay apartments. Most of them have certain abilities and resources. If you can rescue him, maybe it can offer us some help. A bunch of burdens. I interrupted him directly. He pointed to the blood-red area around Jade Bay on the tablet. To save a few useless people. Ride my teammates, Captain Chen. This is the end of the world. It's not a place for heroic performances. My voice was icy cold. Remember, in places like this, excessive mercy is deadlier than zombies. All units were notified to strengthen the villa's perimeter defenses. Soon, some people hoping to take advantage will escape this way. Chun Feng saluted respectfully. It is executed immediately. I took one last look at the black-screened phone. Lin Qian had thought about it. If he is nearby, can bring me value. Or in terms of cost, it's negligible. Maybe I will step in. But the reality is, she was just a beautiful but useless burden. And in this apocalypse, the last thing we ever lacked was beautiful women. Outside the window, the black rain was falling even heavier. Toward the distant city center. Another burst of flame shot up into the sky. The dark clouds were dyed golden red. 2 hours later, 12 noon. The black rain that lasted 4 hours finally stopped. The pale gray clouds looked like torn rags. Sunlight poured down through the cracks, shining on the city riddled with scars. Those survivors hiding in the corners. He cautiously poked his head out, looking at the long-lost sun. For a moment he felt a bit dazed. It was as if everything that had just happened was a nightmare, until they saw zombies roaming the streets and the mess everywhere. Only then did he suddenly wake up. It's not a dream. It was a real apocalypse. Boom boom boom. Hurry up and watch. Helicopter. In the city center, on the rooftop of an office building. Several men in suits suddenly pointed at the sky and shouted. 3 dark green armed helicopters lined up in formation. Flying low over the fierce wind stirred by the propeller. Rolling the clutter on the ground into a vortex. It's the military, the troops have come to save us. Hey, we're here. How did they fly away? People on the rooftop were wildly waving their clothes. Some even set the documents on fire as signals. But those helicopters didn't stop at all. It flew straight toward the outskirts of the city. Only desperate cries remained. Inside the helicopter in the middle, an elderly man with graying hair slowly opened his eyes. She wore a refined suit. He wore a jade thumb ring on his finger. Masa leisurely tapped into the dragonhead cane in her hand, ignoring the cries for help from outside. This old man was Mo Tianxing, the richest man in Donghai City. Old Mo, the shelter is ready. A person dressed in standard uniforms handed over a thermos cup nearby. Commander Li specially reserved the best room for you. Mo Tianxing nodded. He didn't even lift his eyelids. As the helicopter flew over a villa area, he suddenly spoke. Have you checked the camouflage crowd in the eastern suburbs? The man was stunned for a moment. There were no relevant redeployment orders for the team yesterday. The old man took his phone out of his pocket. On the screen was a blurry video. A dozen or so figures fired shots in the rain. The movements are clean and neat. The equipment gleamed coldly in the rain. It was the person who took the phone. The pupils shrank suddenly. People in the video. His tactical moves were more professional than any team he'd ever seen. The equipment was of an unprecedented level of quality. Not a regular team. The man furrowed his brows tightly. And this equipment is even more advanced than the current ones. He realized he had misspoken. Hurry up and change your tune. I will report to Commander Li immediately. Mo Tianxing put away his phone. Looking out the window, she told Li Dongyang. My daughter is still at the Twin Towers in the eastern suburbs of the financial center. She twirled the thumb ring on her hand. The sound is not loud, but with an undeniable command. She knew what to do. It was that cold sweat had already broken out on that person's forehead. Everyone knew Mr. Mo's daughter was an elite in the financial world. He also knew that this richest man's background was far from something ordinary people could afford to mess with. Outside the villa in the clouds, a dozen or so figures looked like mice. Stick to the base of the wall. Sneaking closer. The middle-aged man leading the pack wore a wrinkled suit. He kept turning his head and making hand gestures. Her name is Li Hua. Is a little elf. After the outbreak of the apocalypse, with a bit of cleverness, he recruited these dozen or so people. The commotion at the villa just now. He saw it all. He immediately started making plans. Rather than waiting to die, it's better to cling to this thick thigh and stick close to him. Up ahead was where the combat team was stationed. He shouted in a low voice. A chubby woman with a permed instant noodle hair in the line shouted impatiently. Why didn't those camouflage people come to save us? We usually pay various fees. They should protect us. Even a blonde kid nearby chimed in. At the very back of the line, a man with a buzz cut suddenly stopped. The fruit knife in his hand spun around. Squinting his eyes, he looked toward the high ground of the villa. Watch the iron gate. A group of people scrambled and crawled to the villa entrance. The fat woman was the first to rush forward. He swung his designer bag at the person inside the iron gate. Open the door. Open the door for me quickly. Don't mess around. Li Hua was terrified. He pounced and covered her mouth. The fat woman bit his hand with the back of her hand and screamed. Li Hua, just wait for the people inside to come out. I just said you insulted me. She hadn't finished speaking. Suddenly, the voice got stuck in his throat. 300 meters away, 7 or 8 crooked shadows were heading in their direction. It seemed to be the unique roar of zombies. It makes people's scalps tingle. It's too much. Open the door. A burly man holding a fire axe was frantically pressing the doorbell. Aren't you supposed to protect ordinary people? But that iron door didn't budge an inch. Inside the villa, I watched the surveillance screen. A cold smile curled at the corner of his mouth. The dusty sniper scope had already locked onto it. The head of the zombie at the very front. Should the marshal be saved? His voice came through the earpiece. My gaze fell on the unusually calm buzzcut man. Wait a little longer. The zombies outside had already charged over. The fat woman was so frightened that she collapsed to the ground, trembling all over. That chaotic aura made the zombies even more excited. Back-to-back men on the outskirts. Li Hua shouted at the top of his lungs. As soon as he finished speaking, the zombies charging at the front were hit with precision. His head collapsed and he couldn't get up. Then came several muffled thuds. The zombies charging forward were hit one after another. There's a sniper, the buzzcut man suddenly shouted. All collapsed. The remaining zombies were drawn by the gunfire. Just as he turned to look at the window on the second floor of the villa, 6 pitch-black barrels were extended. Da-da. A dense barrage of bullets swept through. Those zombies instantly fell to the ground. The scene was dead silent. The fat woman suddenly jumped up from the ground. He kicked and cursed at the iron gate. Now they know how to shoot. Why did you go just now? He didn't finish speaking. The buzzcut man's fruit knife was already pressed against his neck. The voice was icy cold. Call again. I'll push you out. At this moment, 6 Snow Leopard team members walked out of the villa. The gun was aimed at this group. Chun Feng strode at the front. The plump woman immediately got excited as soon as she saw her. Pointing at the buzzcut man, he howled. Open the door. He wants to kill me. Arrest him. No one paid him any attention. He grew even more furious, pointing at the dusty nose and shouting. You are deaf. Open the door. Otherwise, I'll file a complaint against you. The words did not fall. A muffled sound. The fat woman's head was struck with precision, and she fell to the ground. Just as the scream erupted, 6 black gun barrels were aimed at the remaining people. Shut up for me. Chun Feng's voice was colder than a gun barrel. Whoever dares to call out is the next one. Her crying was instantly held back. Li Hua's calves kept trembling. The pant legs were already soaked with cold sweat. Chun Feng took off his mask, revealing a cold face. We are a combat team, but it's not something you can command at will. He walked up to the iron gate, eyes like knives. Second, we only obey the orders of the marshal. He suddenly fired a shot into the air. The gunfire made everyone shudder. You are nothing, and you are worthy to command us. Li Hua suddenly knelt down with a thud. The governor spared his life. I am willing to work for you. He could be a beast of burden. Chun Feng sneered. His gaze swept over the others. What about you? The rest were either burly men wielding fire axes or blonde boys. They all knelt down and kowtowed repeatedly. Living in the apocalypse is far more important than dignity. Only the buzzcut boy was standing. Yet he didn't dare to make any sense. He knew a sniper scope was firmly locking onto him. Very good. Chun Feng put away his gun. If you want to survive, you have to prove your worth. He pointed to the zombie remains scattered all over the ground. Clean up within 200 meters in half an hour. No trace can be left. That's all. A survivor looked at the mess scattered all over the ground. The face turned pale. Bang! A bullet glistened in his ear. Fei, 29 minutes 50 seconds. Chun Feng turned and left. Time out for 1 second. No one should have it easy. The survivors were stunned for a few seconds. Then, like madness, rushed toward those wreckage. The buzzcut man silently picked up the bag the fat woman had dropped on the floor, put it on his hand and start dragging the wreckage. He looked up at the window on the 3rd floor of the villa. A tall figure was coldly watching the marshal below. He silently recited in his heart. His hands moved faster. A few minutes later, within 200 meters around the villa, zombies had already surrounded them. A piece of black. There are at least 1,000 heads. It was clearly the gunfire and the smell of blood just now. It attracted all the nearby zombies. Brother Qiang. The blond man's voice was choked with tears. They're using us as bait. If we don't run now, we're doomed. Sun Chang, holding a fire axe, watched the zombies getting closer and closer. A hint of madness flashed in his eyes. It's too much. Going all out, running west. The two looked at each other. Suddenly, he darted out from behind the hiding stone. Help! Li Hua was about to shout when fear choked his throat. 2 soft thuds. Sun Chang and Huang Mao, who were running wildly, instantly collapsed. Hit with precision. The remaining survivors were all terrified. Don't just stand there, get to work, the buzzcut man shouted sternly. But the zombies had already rushed right in front of him. Run. The survivors could no longer hold back. Crying out, he rushed toward the villa's iron gate. Li Hua was the slowest runner. He was knocked to the ground by a zombie. That twisted face was only a few centimeters away from him. At this moment, a fruit knife stabbed precisely into the zombie's temple. The buzzcut man kicked the zombie away. He pulled Li Hua up. "Come on." "Thank you, brother." Li Hua scrambled after her, rolling and crawling along. The dense mass of zombies instantly engulfed the empty space they had just cleared. An elderly man who was running slowly and an elderly woman couldn't call for help in time. He was knocked down by several zombies. The piercing sound vanished in an instant. More zombies were discovered. Li Hua and the buzzcut man roared and rushed over. There were still more than 30 meters to the iron gate, but the zombies behind him were only 10 meters away. The buzzcut man's gaze was as sharp as a hawk's. She held on to Li Hua, who was barely able to run, while swinging the fruit knife in his hand non-stop. The movements are simple, fierce, and swift. Each strike aimed precisely at the zombie's vital points. A knife pierced his eye socket. With a twist of his wrist, he drew the knife. The zombie fell to the ground. With a backhand, he struck another zombie's head with a single slash. She dodged the claws to the side. He then kicked the zombie in the knee. At the moment it fell, a single stab hits a vital spot. In just a few seconds, the buzzcut man carved out a path through the pride. But his forehead was already covered in sweat. His breathing grew increasingly rapid. There are too many zombies. And there was no movement from the villa. They truly stand by and do nothing. For the first time, anger and despair rose in the crewcut man's heart. The zombies' encirclement grew smaller and smaller. The zombie charging at the front. The claws almost grabbed a female student's back. At this critical moment, a heavy cracking sound rang out. The impenetrable alloy door suddenly slid open silently. Immediately after, 7 figures lined up in a row, blocking the entrance. 4 team members carried new assault rifles. 2 squads set up machine guns on tripods. The barrel gleamed coldly. The player in the middle carried a rocket launcher on his shoulder. A chilling aura rushed toward him. "Open fire." A cold command echoed through the loudspeaker throughout the courtyard. The next second, full firepower was unleashed. Dong 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 dong. 2 squads simultaneously fired machine guns at the muzzle of the flames. It fired dense bullets over half a meter long, forming 2 intersecting networks of firepower, like 2 sharp sickles, sweeping fiercely into the zombie horde. The dozens of zombies charging at the front instantly fell to the ground. His body was hit by a bullet. Loss of mobility. The bullet hit the ground, splashing debris and dirt. The entire entrance was shrouded in smoke and dust. This is just the beginning. There was a muffled bang. The team member carrying the rocket launcher pulled the trigger. A grenade trailing smoke. He smashed precisely into the densest spot among zombies. A deafening explosion rang out. The zombies within a dozen meters were instantly routed. Those farther away were also knocked to the ground by the shockwave. The remaining 4 riflemen began to fire with precision. He dealt with the zombies that escaped one by one. This is not a fight. It was a thorough purge campaign. Less than a minute. Just moments ago there were thousands of zombies packed together. They were completely taken down by overwhelming firepower. 3 minutes later, the gunfire stopped. The villa entrance was littered with zombie debris. The smell of gunpowder and blood in the air was so strong it was nauseating. Li Hua, the buzzcut man, and the remaining survivors slumped inside the iron door. My whole body went weak. Stains splattered all over her body and face. His eyes were vacant and trembling constantly. Their minds went blank. The scene just now completely overturned their understanding of combat. Where is this saving people? This is basically a cold, efficient Lightfoot machine. The buzzcut man leaned against the wall, gasping for breath. The fruit knife in his hand was already curled. He stared intently at those team members. His eyes were filled with shock and awe. He finally understood. In this apocalypse, strength is the foundation of everything. Li Hua struggled to get up. Rolling and crawling, he rushed to Qinfeng's feet. Ignoring the dirt and mess on the ground, he kept kowtowing. The commander is a divine soldier. You are truly divine soldiers and generals. From now on, my life belongs to the marshal. It belongs to the officers. Please take me in. Chun Feng shot him a cold glance. It's like watching a dog wagging its tail and begging for mercy. Clean up the doorway. This time I'm giving you 1 hour. Inside the monitoring room of the Cloud Villa. The sauerkraut flavor of instant noodles and the clearing scene on screen. It is a stark contrast. Marshal Ding's troops dealt with 1,142 zombies. Start settling rewards. Ding received a reward. Military Tent Blueprint X MG42 Machine Gun Blueprint X1. I slurped my noodles and glanced at the system message. The classic MG422 machine gun. pursed my lips. However, the reputation of the fabric ripper is well deserved. The rate of fire is extremely fast. It was perfect for dealing with the corpse tide. Out of over 1,000 zombies, only 2 blueprints were dropped. The drop rate is indeed very low. I directly unlocked these 2 blueprints. There was a knock at the door. Jing Chenfeng walked in. He saluted respectfully. Reporting to the marshal, the bait plan was completed. Within 500 meters around the villa, it is already safe. The wreckage has been ordered to be cleaned up by survivors. I put down the instant noodle bucket. Let the brothers rotate and rest. The next step is planned to start early tomorrow morning. Chenfeng responded. He asked again. Marshal, what should we do with those survivors? I tapped my fingers on the table, looking at the crowd in the surveillance footage. Li Hua collapsed on the ground, like a dead dog. The buzzcut man silently dragged the wreckage. Several students nearby were gagging dryly. Trust lies in this man-cannibalistic apocalypse. Trust is more precious than gold, and more lethal than anything else. After they finished cleaning, my voice held no warmth at all. All were locked in underground garages. There is no order from me. No one is allowed to come out. I paused. His tone grew even colder. Who dares to be disobedient? No need to ask for instructions, just subdue directly. Understood, the villa is my fortress. Not a shelter, and certainly not the charity hall. I glanced at the system panel. Merit points. 19,247. Still far from summoning a new team. It seems the next step can only wait until tomorrow. Outside the villa, zombie remains were piled up. After ignition, orange-red flames shot up into the sky. A burnt smell filled the air. The scent was so intense it was hard to keep one's eyes open. The heat wave hit my face. In this cold apocalypse, there was a strange warmth emanating from him. Meanwhile, other buildings in the villa area that have not yet been cleared. Pairs of eyes were peeking through the gaps in the curtains. A bunch of idiots. A chubby man was sipping red wine, his face full of disdain. Look at Li Hua, exhausted like a dog. It's really embarrassing. Exactly. The woman beside him chimed in. For a single bite to eat, he worked like a beast of burden. He's too spineless. I don't think those camouflage people are any good either. Behind another window, a man wearing glasses sneered as he used a living person as bait. They strike mercilessly, even more ruthless than zombies. Regular troops have arrived. Look how arrogant they are. They hid in a secure room, mocking the desperate struggle downstairs to survive, as if he were superior to others. But forgetting that, in this apocalypse, no one can remain unaffected. The buzzcut man stood by the fire. He looked up and glanced at the windows with their lights on. A cold smile curled at the corner of his mouth. Then he turned and followed the snow leopard team into the underground garage. The heavy alloy door slowly closed behind them. A team member walked in carrying a box of food and a load of water. Throw it on the ground. The 9 of you share your own dreams. The team member carrying the rocket launcher pulled the trigger. A grenade dragged through smoke and struck precisely into the area with the most dense zombies. A deafening explosion rang out. The zombies within a dozen meters were instantly routed. Those farther away were also knocked to the ground by the shockwave. The remaining 4 riflemen began to fire with precision. He dealt with the zombies that escaped one by one. This is not a fight. It was a thorough purge campaign. Less than a minute. Just moments ago there were thousands of zombies packed together. They were completely taken down by overwhelming firepower. 3 minutes later, the gunfire stopped. The villa entrance was littered with zombie debris. The smell of gunpowder and blood in the air was so strong it was nauseating. Li Hua, the buzzcut man, and the remaining survivors slumped inside the iron door. My whole body went weak. Stains splattered all over her body and face. His eyes were vacant and trembling constantly. Their minds went blank. The scene just now completely overturned their understanding of combat. Where is this saving people? This is basically a cold, efficient purge machine. The buzzcut man leaned against the wall, gasping for breath. The fruit knife in his hand was already curled. He stared intently at those team members. His eyes were filled with shock and awe. He finally understood. In this apocalypse, strength is the foundation of everything. Li Hua struggled to get up. Rolling and crawling, he lunged to Chenfeng's feet. Ignoring the dirt and mess on the ground, he kept kowtowing. The commander is a divine soldier. You are truly divine soldiers and generals. From now on, my life belongs to the marshal. It belongs to the officers. Please take me in. Chenfeng shot him a cold glance. It's like watching a dog wagging its tail and begging for mercy. Clean up the doorway. This time I'm giving you 1 hour. Inside the monitoring room of the Cloud Villa. The sauerkraut flavor of instant noodles and the clearing scene on screen. It is a stark contrast. Marshal Ding's troops dealt with 1,142 zombies. Start settling rewards. Ding received a reward. Military Tent Blueprint X MG42 Machine Gun Blueprint X1. I slurped my noodles and glanced at the system message. The classic MG422 machine gun. Pursed my lips. However, the reputation of the Fabric Ripper is well deserved. The rate of fire is extremely fast. It was perfect for dealing with the corpse tide. Out of over 1,000 zombies, only 2 blueprints were dropped. The drop rate is indeed very low. I directly unlocked these 2 blueprints. There was a knock at the door. Jing Chenfeng walked in and saluted. Reporting to the marshal, the bait plan was completed. Within 500 meters around the villa, it is already safe. The wreckage has been ordered to be cleaned up by survivors. I put down the noodle bucket. Let the brothers rotate and rest. The next step is planned to start early tomorrow morning. Yes. Chenfeng responded. He asked again. Marshal, what should we do with those survivors? I tapped my fingers on the table, looking at the crowd in the surveillance footage. Li Hua collapsed on the ground, like a dead dog. The buzzcut man silently dragged the wreckage. Several students nearby were gagging dryly. Trust lies in this man-cannibalistic apocalypse. Trust is more precious than gold, and more lethal than anything else. After they finished cleaning, my voice held no warmth at all. All were locked in underground garages. There is no order from me. No one is allowed to come out. I paused. His tone grew even colder. Who dares to be disobedient? No need to ask for instructions, just subdue directly. Understood, the villa is my fortress. Not a shelter. And certainly not the charity hall. I glanced at the system panel. Merit points. 19,247. Still far from summoning a new team. It seems the next step can only wait until tomorrow. Outside the villa, zombie remains were piled up. When ignited, orange-red flames shot up into the sky. A burnt smell filled the air. The scent was so intense it was hard to keep one's eyes open. The heat wave hit my face. In this cold apocalypse, there was a strange warmth emanating from him. Meanwhile, other stairwells in the villa area that have not yet been cleared. Pairs of eyes were peeking through the gaps in the curtains. A bunch of idiots. A chubby man was sipping red wine, his face full of disdain. Look at Li Hua, exhausted like a dog. It's really embarrassing. The woman beside him chimed in. For a single bite to eat, he worked like a beast of burden. He's too spineless. I don't think those camouflage people are any good either. Behind another window, a man wearing glasses sneered as he used a living person as bait. They strike mercilessly, even more ruthless than zombies. Regular troops have arrived. Look how arrogant they are. They hid in a secure room, mocking the desperate struggle downstairs to survive, as if he were superior to others. But forgetting that, in this apocalypse, no one can remain unaffected. The buzzcut man stood by the fire. He looked up and glanced at the windows with their lights on. A cold smile curled at the corner of his mouth. Then he turned and followed the snow leopard team into the underground garage. The heavy alloy door slowly closed behind them. A team member walked in carrying a box of food and a load of water. Throw it on the ground. The food is divided among the 9 of you.